Hey, hey! Welcome to Generation Rise, the podcast with Marcus Bell. Thank you for so much for coming in and checking me out here today. I appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to listen to the things that I have to say in this podcast. I appreciate all of the love and support and the feedback that my Rise family gives me. Keep it coming. Keep helping me make this better for you and better for other people. So like, share, subscribe, send it out to your friends and family. Help this podcast go out and reach everybody that it can be helpful to, and that it will just continue to spread and impact and influence people in positive ways. Now listen, Rise family, I have another topic to discuss with you guys today. And it seems like I have started a bit of a series that started with my podcast entitled The Takeover, in which I introduced the 4 P's: prepare, position, prove, and propel. And then my last podcast entitled Patience, I discussed how patience was woven into each part of the 4 P's that I had previously mentioned. Now, for this particular podcast, I have some new stuff to introduce to you. And it started after I saw a graphic that showed a group of NFL stars that have been hurt with ACL injuries this year. And that graphic showed about 8 or 9 different NFL stars that included Joe Burrow, Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham Jr., Devin Bush, Nick Bosa, Tariq Cohen, Taylor Lewan, and Bruce Irwin, to name a few. Now, if you're not too into football, these guys are stars in the league. I'm talking guys that are Pro Bowlers. I'm talking guys that are first-round draft pick. I'm talking guys that make a major impact on the game when they're in it. These guys have hurt themselves, hurt their knees, and they are out for the rest of the season. Even beyond these guys, as I looked around on ESPN and websites and different things, you hear about Klay Thompson, that he was just coming off of an ACL injury and returning from an ACL injury, and he ruptured his Achilles in a workout prior to the season. So he's out for all of this year as well. Kevin Durant is returning from a ruptured Achilles this season. And I say all that to say is, if you name any sport, any athlete, any entertainer, whatever it may be, I can almost guarantee you that they have dealt with physical pain. And likewise, with having to deal with pain, they have had to persevere through that pain to get to where they wanted to go. So in this particular example that I'm throwing out here with the guys that have ACL injuries and different injuries, these guys no doubt had to deal with the physical pain of hurting their knee or hurting their Achilles or whatever the case may be, but they are the top of the line athletes that the world has to offer, and they will persevere through the pain associated with those injuries to get back to playing, to get back to where they were. And in many cases, these guys will get back to playing at a level that is higher than before they got hurt in the first place. So these athletes, and you can throw in Serena Williams has dealt with injuries, and any number of male or female athletes that have had to deal with the pain associated with the physical injury, and then the perseverance that it takes to do the rehab and get back to the sports in which they want to play. So just as patience is woven into the different part of the 4 P's that I introduced, so is pain and perseverance. So that is my topic for this particular podcast. 2 more P's are being introduced: pain and perseverance. So let's talk about pain a little bit. The most obvious type of pain is physical pain. You hurt your knee, you hurt your head, you hurt your ankle. Physical pain is something that we all deal with at different times in different ways, whether you're an athlete, whether you do business work as a CEO, whether you're a musician or an artist, whatever it is, at some point you stump your toe, you deal with the physical pain that comes along with that. But there are also other types of pain that are not as obvious, which in many cases, the pain that is not as obvious and not easily to be seen can be more destructive than the physical pain that we go through. And I'm talking about what I kind of call the silent killers of pain. I'm talking things like grief. When you lose somebody, a lot of people, we have to grieve. We have to go through the healing process to fill that void in our lives. So you lose your mom, you lose your sister, you lose a relationship that is very valuable to you. There is a pain associated with that loss. There's a pain associated with that death. There's a pain from not having, from growing up in poverty or growing up in the projects or dire straits where you weren't able to have things that other people may have had. There are pain associated with not having parents. There's a pain associated with being heartbroken or the feeling of being abandoned. There is pain associated from the things that people have seen or things that people have experienced, from having hurt feelings, pain from rejection, pain from hate. There are all different types of pain, and a lot of these pains cannot be seen on the surface, and they're not necessarily felt in the same way that a physical injury or a physical pain, but that does not mean that they do not need to be addressed, that they do not need to be focused on, that they do not need to be confronted and faced so that you can get through them and get past those pains. Sometimes change is a painful thing. A change in your environment. You have to move from one city to another, so you have to get new friends. You have to get acclimated to a whole new environment, a new team, a new school, a new transportation system. Some things are just going to be painful. And one of the sayings that I've heard many times is that the only thing that is constant in the world is change. So you're going to have to be able to adapt the change, to move with the punches, to go with the flow sometimes. But change can be painful, and you're going to be able to have to persevere through that change, persevere through that adversity, persevere through that discomfort, persevere through that pain that you're going through that is caused by the different circumstances that come with life. Now, one thing that a lot of people try to do with particularly these silent pain, that I'll call them right now, is that they try to hide them. And oftentimes when you try to hide the pain that you're going through, they only manifest in a different way. So they may manifest in being angry, or they may manifest in a way of having depression, or having an addiction, or being isolated from people, or having anxiety or panics and paranoia and different things like that. So there are physical pains, but there are emotional pains. There are psychological pains. There are all different type of pains that we have to be able to deal with and push through to get to where we're going to go, to get to where we want to go. So let me give you an example. You're an athlete, you're preparing for a competition. As you are preparing for the competition, the game or whatever, you get hurt. So you're unable to play in the game. Your backup plays in your spot in the game. And the backup plays so well that they win your position. So now you don't only have to deal with the physical pain that goes with the injury that you sustained that stopped you from being able to play, But you have to deal with the pain of the lost opportunity of not being able to play. You have to deal with the grief of the lost opportunity of having your position taken away from you by somebody else. So there are many different pains that can come, that can be triggered by the same situation. That one injury can trigger pain down the line in ways that rehab of a knee will handle the physical pain, but will it be able to handle the emotional trauma, the emotional and psychological pain that goes with that missed opportunity? You get cut from a team, you don't get the opportunity that you think you deserve. Those are pains that cannot be seen. Everybody loves to talk about Michael Jordan getting cut from the high school basketball team and then him putting in the work to get back, making the team, dominating, going to the University of North Carolina, then getting drafted by the Bulls, and then going on to build a legacy that has him to be arguably the greatest human to play the sport of basketball ever, the greatest of all time. But what about all the people in the world that got cut from the basketball team and were not able to push past the pain of getting cut? What about all of those people? The pain of that rejection, the pain of not being good enough. Michael Jordan was able to harness that pain and use it to propel him forward, use him to prepare, use him to position himself, use it to prove himself and propel himself to a greatness unmatched by anybody else in the world. But for many people in the world, they are not able to just bounce back from that pain. They're not able to face the fact that they may not have been good enough. So we have to be able to face our pain and then be able to fight through the pain. And that's where perseverance comes in. Perseverance is the ability to persistently do something despite the difficulty associated with it. Persistently. I'm not talking about just doing it one time. I'm talking about continuously fighting. So pain and perseverance are oftentimes connected. Anytime that we experience pain, that we have to persevere through it in order to move forward and grow. So if you want to grow from the pain, you have to push through it. You have to fight through it. You have to persistently push through that pain. Face it, fight through it. Face it, fight through it. Face it, fight through it. You get hurt, you have to be persistent in the rehab to get healthy again, to get back to where you were and to get back to the point of being better. But again, I say the key part of perseverance is about persistence. Being persistent is more than facing the fighting, facing the pain and fighting through it one time. It means that you're consistently pushing through and making the choice to push no matter how hard it is, how much it hurts, how much you don't feel like doing it. You continue to push through it anyway. You continue to fight through it anyway. You continue to persevere and push through it no matter how hard it is, how much it hurts, how much you don't want to do it, how much you don't feel like doing it. I personally believe that the more we stop trying to persevere through things, then the more we start to die. Sometimes that death, in a sense, happens in a particular area. And sometimes it is literal death. So have you ever seen somebody that was a little older in age and then they get sick, they're not feeling well, and then they just give up on fighting to try to feel better? They don't want to do it anymore. They're tired of going to the doctors. They're tired of going to the hospitals. They don't want to do it. Oftentimes when a person no longer wants to fight to live, no longer wants to fight to get better, then they die. because they've given up. They've given in to whatever pain is going on inside of them. They've given in to whatever sickness or illness is going on that they no longer want to fight, and they often die away at that point. The same thing could be said in different sections of our life. So let's say you lose a parent or you lose somebody close to you and you get grief stricken. And you give in to that grief, that now you can no longer find joy in anything that you do. So that grief steals your joy. That grief kills your joy. Let's say somebody that you're real close to hurts your feelings. And if you give in to the pain associated with that person hurting your feeling, then your ability to trust other people goes out the window. That ability to trust dies. And if you don't trust people, then you can't build relationships. It can happen in all different parts of our lives, where if you get a pain in one way and you don't address it, you don't fight through the pain, then that part of you starts to die away. And then people don't get the fullness of you. Have you ever heard the term no pain, no gain? Well, the gain comes in the perseverance. The gain comes as you continue to fight through whatever it is that you're going through to get better. The fight is where you grow. The persistence to face the pain and keep going anyway is where you're going to grow. When you go into the weight room and you want to get stronger, you go and hit the weights, and you're going to have times where you're trying to push that weight up and it's going to hurt to push, but you're going to have to keep pushing to get the gains. You want to have that beach body ready for the summer, you're going to have to continuously, persistently go into the gym and push the weight up so that you can see the gains that are associated with the pain that you're pushing through. So, as I was on Thanksgiving watching football, and I was watching the Washington football team play the Dallas Cowboys. And the quarterback for the Washington football team is a guy by the name of Alex Smith. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on Alex Smith. Alex Smith was the number 1 overall NFL draft pick for the San Francisco 49ers in the 2005 draft. He played 6 seasons with the 49ers. In 2011, he led the 49ers to the playoffs and the NFC Championship game. In 2012, he sustained a concussion midway through the season. And despite having strong statistics and playing well, he did not regain his starting job after being replaced by a guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick. So in 2013, he was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. During his time with the Kansas City Chiefs, he was named to 3 Pro Bowls. He led the league in passer rating in 2017. But also in 2017, the Kansas City Chiefs drafted a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes. So again, he was traded to the Washington Redskins in 2018. In that year, he had led the Redskins to a 6-3 record, and then he sustained a gruesome leg injury. A leg injury that required 17 surgeries to repair. In the midst of those surgeries, he dealt with bacterial infections. Not only was he at risk of losing his leg, he was at risk of losing his life. It took him more than a year and a half before he was able to get cleared to resume football-related activities, and 2 years to actually get back on the field. So let's talk about this. Let's break this down a little bit. Let's talk about the pain associated with it. So I told you that he had a concussion. I told you that Alex Smith also had a leg injury that required him to have 17 surgeries. I can't tell you how many times during the game on Thanksgiving Day, the commentators talked about how he had to go through 17 surgeries, how he had to fight and fight and fight to get back to playing football again, how much he had to persevere to get back to playing football again. Can you imagine going through 17 surgeries and the amount and type of rehab that you have to do to get yourself back ready to play football? That is a major undertaking, not just for you, but for your family. But we're going to talk about Alex Smith and the pain that he felt. So 17 surgeries, bacterial infections, in and out of the hospital, in and out of rehab, in and out of strength training and everything else, just to get yourself to the point where you can play the sport that you love again. So those are just some of the physical injuries. Those are the major physical injuries, a concussion and a broken leg. But let's also think about some of the different emotional, psychological type of injuries that he likely had to deal with. I told you that he sustained a concussion and then he lost his job to another quarterback, even though he was playing well. Not only that, of losing your job, then you get traded to another team. You're playing well with that team, you get named to the Pro Bowl, you're doing great, you're having a great season, but they draft a young stud out of college, and then you get traded again. How does that rejection make you feel? That is a pain that goes with that. There is a pain that goes with being traded from team to team, from playing well and still not being able to sustain your job, still not being able to be held in a high enough regard to continue on in your career with that organization. Then you get traded and then you get hurt again, and this time it's a major injury that requires 2 years before you're able to get back on the field. Can you imagine the psychological trauma that Alex Smith had to go through, the pain that he had to fight through every day to continue that rehab, to continue to push forward, to continue to try to get back on the football field? These are pains that he had to persistently persevere through. He persistently, every day, I'm sure he had to wake up like, dang, is it really worth me going to do this again? Yep, let me get back and go do the rehab. Let me go do the strength training. Let me go train. Let me go do everything that I have to do to prepare myself, to position myself, to prove myself, and to propel myself forward. Let me go through the pain. Let me face the pain. Let me push through the pain. Let me fight through the pain. Every single day he had to do with the physical side of it, and he had to deal with the mental pain, the emotional pain, the psychological pain that went with those injuries, that went with those changes throughout his NFL career. And now he is back to being the starter of the Washington football team. What a journey he's gone through just in his professional career as an NFL quarterback. The journey from being the number 1 overall draft pick to getting traded a couple of times, to having a few injuries, to having some success in the league, to getting hurt, being out, having to work your way back for 2 years to get back on the field, and to be able to work yourself back to the point where you are in the position to start for an NFL franchise. I think that is extraordinary. I think that is amazing. I think that is mind-blowing, the amount of strength, perseverance, and pain that he had to endure to fight and persistently fight to get back to one of the top levels in the sport of football. I just think that is amazing. And right now, realistically, we are in the midst of a pandemic. And I understand that my Rise family are in a very unique position of pain right now, because a lot of the outlets that my Rise family would generally be able to tap into to deal with some of the pain that they go through on a daily basis is kind of being taken away from them, because we're not able to go into our schools. We're not able to play on our sports teams as we usually do. We're not able to go to the mall, go to the movies, and just hang out and have a good time with our friends. We're not able to connect in the same way. So I understand that My Rise family specifically has a unique set of pain that they are dealing with, that they may be feeling overwhelmed by having to be in the house all the time. They are not able to get out and move and do the things, play the sports, play the music, do art, whatever it is that would be their normal release of stress, normal relief of anxiety, normal relief of whatever pain it is that they may be dealing with at home, to get away with some of that stuff. So, Rise family, I commend you for being able to persevere through the extraordinary circumstances of the pandemic that we are in right now. If nobody told you today that they are proud of you, let me tell you that I am proud of the perseverance that you guys are showing right now. You guys are showing the type of perseverance that will show that you will be our next leaders, that you will be able to lead us through different things, because you are persevering through something that I never had to experience when I was growing up. You guys, we have to wear masks everywhere. We can't go places. We have to stay in small confines and things like that. And you guys are dealing with that pain, and I know it's hard. And I will encourage you that if you need somebody to talk to, reach out to me or reach out to somebody else that you know and trust, because I know that it is an overwhelming thing to have to be in the house all the time. An overwhelming thing to not be able to take a break from your family, to not be able to be around your friends and things like that. So I commend you for being able to take that pain and fight through the pains that you're dealing with, and to continue to persevere and push through to do school and to excel in school and excel in things at home, and to continue just to be good quality people. I commend you, my Rise family. Continue to push, continue to persevere through, because we will get to the other side of this. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King has a quote in which he said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Your worth is not going to be shown when everything is going your way. Your worth is not going to be shown when everything is comfortable, when everything is going according to plan, when everything is scripted just how you expected it to be. Your worth is going to show when you have to make the mountain move, or when you have to climb the mountain, or when you get faced with the obstacles, when you get faced with the last minute change, when you get faced with the controversy, when you have to fight through the pain of whatever it is that is going on in your world, and you have to push through it. Face the pain, push through it anyway. Keep fighting, persistently push through whatever pain, whatever obstacle, whatever adversity that it is. That is when you're going to find out what you're truly worth. That's when people will find out what you're truly worth, is how you deal with the adversity, how you climb the mountain. Are you going to give up and pack it in, or are you going to continue to fight to get to where you want to go? Are you going to pack it in when somebody else get the opportunity that you think is supposed to be for you, or are you going to continue to push forward to get to where you expect to be? In anything that you do, Rise family, in anything that you do, there will be things that bring you pain. And there will be things that you have to persevere through. Realistically, it is just a part of everyone's journey. Nobody has a smooth road. Everybody's going to have bumps in the road. Everybody's going to have mountains and obstacles that they're going to have to face. Everybody's going to get knocked down sometimes. When you get knocked down, you got to get back up and keep swinging. You get knocked down 6 times, get up that 7th time and keep swinging. Sometimes you're going to be told no. And you're going to be told no a lot. The good thing is that you don't need everybody to tell you yes. You just need that one right yes to get you on the path to the greatness that you have inside of you, to get you on the path to the destiny that is for you. So don't worry about all the no's. Don't worry about all the obstacles. Don't worry about the things that are not going in your favor right now. If you keep pushing, the right opportunity will present itself. The opportunity that is for you will present itself. And then you will be able to pull the greatness out of you that is for the world to see. Listen, Rise family, thank you so much for joining me here again today. Please reach out to me. Please let me know what you think. Give me your comments. Give me your feedback. I can be reached on my email at bell.riseent@gmail.com, Twitter @riseent and the number 1, Instagram The Rise Generation, YouTube Generation Rise. Also check out my company website www.therisegeneration.org. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much any one of your favorite podcast hosts. Like, share, subscribe, send it to your family and friends. Thank you so much, Rise family, for your time. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. God bless you, Rise family. I love you. Now go be great.